With a light in the window for me.
Hey guys, Adam the New Hampshire Rail fan here, bringing to you a new video where I will hopefully teach you the differences between all of the F unit classes, or models, variants, whatever you want to call them. They're the only engines that are included in this video are original EMD builds. There are no rebuilds in here at all, just original models. So the F10 will not be included. That one Mark engine rebuild of an F7, I forgot what it's called. I think it is just called an F7, but that will not be included. That one specifically will not be, because that is not an original F unit design. But anyways, let's get right into it. This was a very fun video for me to make, actually. I am making this at 10:30 at night, but it's very it is a very fun video to make nonetheless. So anyways, with that, let's jump right into it. The EMD F2 was produced between 1939 and 1945. The F stood for 1400, even though it really had only 1,350 horsepower, and the T stood for twin, as it came in a standard A unit and B unit set. The body design was developed from the earlier EMD TA model, which was built for the Rock Island Railroad in 1937. It was similar in cylinder count, axle count, length, and internal layout. By the end of 1945, there were 555 A units and 541 B units, at a grand total of 1,096 units by the end of its production, making the EMD F2 EMD's most popular unit sold. The amount of portholes on the side of the engine body make the engine the most distinguishable from the rest of the class. Another thing that can make this engine stand out among the rest of its brothers and sisters would be the size of the number board on the head end of the locomotive. They typically had a very small number board. Looking at the grille towards the top of the engine, you can see the internal frame showing through the grille, which on most engines following the F2, you would not be able to see the internal frame through the grille. On the B unit, the major standout would be the large overhang on one end of the engine, making it very lopsided looking, but other than that, there's really no difference from the A unit to the B unit. Moving on to the EMD F2, which was produced only between July and November of 1946, we start to see the more common-looking body style for the rest of the F unit series, with the 3 portholes on the side of the body. The large frame, the large beams on the internal side cannot really be seen through the grille as much, but if you look closely on that front section, you can see a little bit of the frame. Other than that, there's not much of a difference to the FT there. In total, there were 74 A units and 30 B units produced, making 104 units in total. Looking at the B unit, the most obvious difference would be from the FT would be the lack of that weird looking overhang on one end of the engine. EMD must have done away with that because of the awkward look to it. Moving on to the EMD F3, which was, up until 1945, the most popular variant of the F unit, coming in at 1,111 A units and 696 B units altogether. It had 1,500 horsepower and was the first mixed traffic variant of the F unit, which means it could pull both passenger and freight just as well. The physical differences between the F2 would be the larger number boards on the front of the locomotive and the lack of the third porthole there on the side. This variant, up until the EMD F3, they started to drop one porthole. Some F3s could be spotted with 3 portholes, and the later models only had 2 usually. The internal support beams, once again on this model, are better seen. They can be seen even more through the grill there. And on most of the F3s, most of the later model F3s, the grill was made out of a cheap chicken wire fence type that a lot of people would use on their chicken coops. Bringing attention to the bell mount above the cab, that was an option that the buyer would have if they wanted to put a bell mount there. EMD started to have that option. The only difference to the F2B from the F3B would be the grate along the top. It follows the whole length of the body on the F3B. As where the F2B, it was kind of staggered around the body. The F5A is one of the rarest models around. It is actually unknown how many of these were built. The only information on them is an upgraded traction motor compared to the rest of the units before the F5. Around this model, you can start to see a finer grading for the above vents there. They swapped over from the cheaper chicken grate fence to the more nicer and honestly probably safer grate. In physical appearance, the A and B units are supposedly the exact same to the F7, the later model F7. Once again, there is not a whole lot of information on the F5, seeing as there were limited models built. Produced between 1949 and 1953, the F7 is the most popular F-unit variant of all of them. It was sold at a whopping 2,393 A units and 1,463 B units altogether. The only physical difference from the F3 is the fact that the F7 only ever had 2 portholes. There was no ever F7 that had more than 2 portholes. The grills on the F7 after the F5 was built, the F7 started to join the trend of having the finer grills. No F7 had the chicken grills of the F3, and basically the only other difference to the F3 would be internal electrical differences, and possibly a slightly larger cab internally, though. The F7B came pre-set up with a steam generator in it, ready to power passenger equipment if needed. I'm not exactly sure if there was an option to have an F7B without a steam generator, or if EMD later on started building a version of the F7B without a steam generator, or either that or buyers would remove them afterwards. That part of information there I could not find. The FP7 is basically an exact replica of the F7, but only it was geared exclusively for passenger service. The only differences really are the extra 5 feet to accommodate a larger steam generator and water tank for passenger equipment of that era. There was never any B units built, but in total there were 381 A units. It was also produced between 1949 and 1953. The only physical difference between the F7 and the F9 would be the fact that on the F9 there was a extra louver added in front of the forward porthole on either side. This was added to allow for more air to flow into the engine. The F9 was produced between 1953 and 1960. There were in total 101 A units built and 156 B units built, making the F9 the first and only F unit to have more B units produced than A units, which is actually kind of odd. The FP9 has the same story as the FP7. It is basically just an F9 with extended 5 feet to have greater room for a steam generator and water tank. Also built exclusively for passenger service. In total, there were 90 A units built and 0 B units built. It has the same physical appearance of an F9, just add an extra 5 feet to the body. Okay, the FL9. Already there's a there's a huge difference here. So this one was built by EMD under commission by the New Haven Railroad. It had 1,750 horsepower and was produced between 1954 and 1959. In total, there were 60 A units. There were never any B units built. Eventually, the New York Central acquired some. They probably bought them from the New Haven, because there are some FL9s in a New York Central paint scheme. The New Haven Railroad classified this engine as a EDER-5. This is very obvious, a very obvious difference, but the main difference would be the 3-axle truck on the rear of the engine. That is to allow for third rail power, so it's half diesel, half electric. Well, it's essentially. And with that, please enjoy the little compilation of F units I made. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want more content like this, then please consider liking and subscribing. The more subs we get, the farther the channel will grow. I really enjoy making these videos, so if you have any recommendations on an engine that I should cover on a informational video like this, then please let me know down in the comments section. Stay tuned for more. And with that being said, this is the New Hampshire Rail Fan signing off with the friendly reminder to always keep the rail fanning hobby alive. See you next time, guys.